Hey everyone, Voltage here. Welcome to probably a video that's a little overdue, but nonetheless, here we are. So as some of you may be following, the official Smogon tournament, or Smogon Tour, or OST, is wrapping up there in the round of 16, and I figured I'd give a little bit of a recap of how I did, just compared to everyone else, since this year I actually did decently well for myself compared to previous years. I saved as many replays as I could after I realized I should maybe save some replays, but, so a couple of them are missing, which is fine, but we could go in and talk a little about them. My round 1 opponent was a no-show. They haven't been online since, January 25th, and the deadline was long before that, so I did get the activity win for round 1, so that's kind of irrelevant. But round 2, I was up against, I believe their name was Shizuki, or at least that's what they go by on Shodan. Yeah, they go by Shizuki on Smogon.com as well. So this was a pre-home metagame. I didn't, and this is game 3 of our matchup. So I had won the first one. No, I had lost the first one, won the second one, and they had been using Abomasnow as a Seismitoad check, which I thought was really interesting. So I was bringing a team that, yeah, I had lost game 1, won game 2, so I had momentum going into game 3, but it was anyone's game at this point. So I brought this team that I had made, I posted actually on Smogon.com before, but it's a AV Grimmsnarl team from the Next Best Thing thread, along, I believe this is Banded, and it's got Iron Defense Como-O, standard Mandibuzz. This is Scarf Rotom, and then this is Toxicroak, and Toxicroak's actually really fun. It would not work at all in the metagame as it stands now, but pre-home, it was pretty fun. So we'll jump right into this. So, change it to fast. So I lead with Rotom, he leads with Pharaoh, and immediately I'm thinking, okay, he's probably going to set up some sort of hazards just because my team doesn't really like to have hazards. We like to switch in a bunch, so I'm just going to Volt Switch. He doesn't like the look of Grimmsnarl on my team, and I can send in Como, as he actually goes for knockoff there, knocking off my leftovers. That's fine, because I can set up rocks against him no matter what, as he goes into his Pelipper. And I figure I don't want to stay in on a Hurricane, so I just go right back into Rotom Wash to see what he does. As he goes for a U-turn, he'll probably go into Ferrothorn again, which he does, and so what I figure now, at this point, since I'm Scarf, I don't think he knows that I'm Scarf, especially if he was going to stay in and knock on me. So I'm keeping that in mind, but I just go for another Volt Switch to play conservatively since it is a little bit of game 3, and I just go right back into Como-O as he sets up spikes. At this point now, what I could do is I could Iron Defense or Body Press or Earthquake. I could really do anything I want with this Como since it threatens Ferrothorn and whatnot, but I instead double into Toxicroak on his something else, but he decides actually not to switch. I thought that he was going to switch maybe into, like, Seismitoad or even Dracovish or something, but or even actually Abomasnow I think was the play I was thinking at the time. But I switch into Toxicroak to get the Dry Skin boost from Rain, which is super nice. Toxicroak is just like, when I was using it, it was just the best Rain answer. So I go for a Drain Punch here, and nothing on his team can take a Drain Punch, which I think is actually hilarious. Like, there's no way you could have prepared for it, but here we are. So he just keeps going for hazards here as I switch back into Rotom, which I'm not too concerned about. And I just switch in my Rotom again as he sends in his Pharaoh, and I double into Mandibuzz here. This is just so that now I basically have a way to get rid of hazards for free, and all he can do is basically knock me. And, like, after that, get rid of my heavy-duty boots, so it's not like I was getting passive recovery anyway. I go back into Como-O on his Leech Seed, which is, again, fine. And once again, I'm going to set up rocks here on his switch into Pelipper again. Again, I'm expecting a Hurricane, so I just go back into Rotom. It's the best play to do. He goes for a U-turn, smart conservative mid-ground play. He's going to get up hazards here again, but what I can do now is just Volt Switch and immediately go back into Como-O, like I'm always doing. I'm telegraphing my moves maybe a little bit, but at this point I don't mind because it's just the safest play. I go for Body Press here because in the past he's been very aggressive with getting hazards up on the field, so I figured I could probably click Body Press and at least get some chip. If, Seismitoad did want to come in, or Pelipper did want to come in, I would at least get some damage off. So, anyway, Rain's coming down, I'm getting sapped by Leech Seed, so I'm going to end up switching back into Rotom here, as he switches into Pelipper. This is a really good switch for me, because now I have the immediate, like, momentum going in, and he's forced to switch to Seismitoad just because of the fact that, like, I could just click Volt Switch, and it's on this, and so I do click Volt Switch just, again, to be conservative. I thought I had tricked there. Oops. As I switch into Mandibuzz on his rocks, I can just click Defog on his Hydro Pump, because he is Life Orb, but instead I click Knockoff. I think what I was thinking there, not quite sure what I was thinking there, but, yeah, damn, this is weak. So, on his switch into Dracovish, I Defog here, and I'm fully expecting Dracovish to go for a Vicious Rend. Instead, he goes for a sub, which was really interesting. I just roost because I was going to sack the Mandibuzz, but this is fine too. As he goes for an Earthquake, I don't know what he was expecting there, but whatever. So I go for Rotom Wash here as he switches back into his Seismitoad, and I just click Volt Switch. Again, I'm just playing very consistently with this Rotom, and Mandibuzz will always come in on this Seismitoad to defog, so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I go for a knockoff there to knock off the Damp Rock instead of defogging, though, just on his prediction of defog. I really don't mind losing Mandibuzz in the grand scheme of things, just because I'm continuously punching holes in his team, slowly but surely wearing it down. At this point, he switches into Dracovish, so I just go back into my Kommo-o on a sack into Vicious Rend. And since he's sub, I know for a fact that, like, Toxicroak will outspeed this, which is really, really nice for me. So that is something nice. So I switch in Toxicroak, and I just go for a Gunk Shot. I calced that. Crit did not matter. The Gunk Shot would have knocked it out anyway. So that's really good for me. Yeah, so now he goes into his Pelipper, and I have Thunder Punch on this thing, so that's a dead bird, which is really great. And then he sends in his Seismitoad, and I go back into Mandibuzz just because I'm not going to let him get up his rocks. I'm not going to let him get up his hazards. He goes into a Bombasnow here, so I guess he forsakes Rain, and I knock off Specs, which is actually really cool. I was a big fan of a Bombasnow, just like that choice. So I think it's really cool that that was an answer to, like, you know, Dracovish, not really, but like Seismitoad, that's the one. So he goes for a Blizzard. I'm AV Grimmsnarl, so I can tank that hit pretty well. And he realizes at this point that there's no way that his team is going to be able to beat Toxicroak, so at this point, I mean, this had Fire Punch on it, so that's what I was going to do regardless, and there was no way he was going to beat Toxicroak, especially when I have Aegislash here, I have this Rotom here. Like, the game was mine, basically, from the matchup. So I win my Game 3 of Round 2, and I move on to the next fight, which is super hype. Okay, so now we are in Round 3 of OST, and now I'm up against a guy, I don't really know how to pronounce his name, I think it's Filker Putin, or something like that. It's Filker Putin. So this was a interesting matchup. I have both matches that played out this time, so spoiler alert, I guess. Oops. But that's fine. So, looking at this team, this was now the first round that was post-home. So now we had things like Kyurem and Zeraora and Subtoxic Aegislash and Prim and Rachi and all this gross stuff. Can I talk? But anyway, so we'll start off here. I made this team. It was pretty fun. He leads Como. I lead Hydreigon. He fears probably Draco Meteor right off the bat, which is smart of him because I tend to do that where I'll expect maybe they'll think I'm going to switch. I'll go for rocks. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to punish you for that. So I go for Draco. Doesn't work. His Prim sets up a sub. I think that... Okay, so it is leftovers, so no need to worry about Metronome. He goes for a Scald, and I just go for the Iron Head here. I am banded, which is a little concerning just because of Scald, but whatever. He switches into Corviknight, which is fine, and I'm going to double into Seismitoad. At this point, I could get up my rocks. I could go for Scald. Basically, I have some options here. So he goes for Brave Bird and gets a crit. That's not great for me. But I go for Scald, just hoping to get the burn so that his leftovers recovery is neutralized, so to speak. And he goes for a U-turn here into his Clefable just on my Scald fishing, but I've lured him enough into thinking that, so I go for a Rocks. Get up my own hazards. Sylveon comes in, and I really liked Sylveon for a really long time. Just because I liked Sylveon's ability to Wish Pass with Mystical Fire, but now Clef got Teleport, and that just makes it infinitely better. So what can you do there? But anyway, I go for Mystical Fire with Sylveon, lowering Corb's special attack. Not that it really matters that much, but you know, it is just cool to see. I switch into Kyurem here. Since he's running Brave Bird, he's unlikely to be actually running Iron Head, which gives Kyurem sort of a free pass to sort of do whatever the hell it wants. So I go for a sub here because this is sub Metronome Kyurem. That's the thing. Metronome was not working right for a long time. So luckily, I don't think it matters here, but it did not work very well for a while. So I'm just going to spam Freeze Dry. And, you know, I'm going to get some chip, like the increasing thing. But frankly, I'm, it's a little weird. Like, right here is when Freeze Dry should have reset, but it doesn't because Metronome on Showdown was bugged originally. So, like, that Freeze Dry should be doing, like, 15 as opposed to 31. So that's fine. I just go for Earth Power here because, I mean, Jirachi, it doesn't really want to do that, and I'm just going to let it attack me, and I'm just going to keep going for Earth Powers as it does knock it out because I'm Metronome, and that one would work that way. So I go for another sub here because Kyurem is just really good and doesn't really have any answers. Specs Kyurem is better in the grand scheme of things, but this team worked with it. I'm going for Mystical Fire here with Sylveon just to lower Clef's special attack, but it goes right into Prim and gets the Wish Pass. That's what I was saying. Teleport is such a good move. This is back when Teleport Wish Passing was fairly new. It wasn't very well known. But anyway, I'm just going to go back into Kyurem here on his Corviknight, because I just get a free switch into Kyurem always when Corviknight comes out, and I get a Wish Pass. So that's really nice too. I go back into my Banded Aegislash here on his Moonblast from Clef, just because, like, there's no way you wouldn't attack Kyurem. And I double into Zeraora here, but I thought he was going to go maybe not Protect. And so I was going to, like, just, oh, haha, I got you, but I was wrong. I thought he was going to maybe go Corv, but he didn't. But he goes into Como here, as I just go for a Plasma Fist to get some chip. It does, like, nothing, but that's fine. I go for a Play Rough here now, because I don't think he was expecting a Play Rough here. Zeraora doesn't really run Play Rough much, but I had no way to deal with the Como once, like, well, I guess I did. Well, I guess I just chose some interesting team choices then, didn't I? But that's fine. Yeah, so that comes in, and I also have Knockoff, which is definitely not standard. Play Rough or Knockoff, not both, because then you can't beat Seismitoad at anything, so whatever. But, hey, it worked here. So Moonblast coming in. I'm just going to keep Wish Passing with Sylveon just because, like, he's going to take this opportunity to get a free sub, and that's fine. I just need Aegislash to recover. He instead goes for Scald. I'm lucky I didn't get burned there, as he goes back into Corviknight now. And I just go for Iron Head because, I mean, it's a safe bet. I'm going to get Chip either on Corviknight or I'm going to hit the other two monsters super effective damage. He U-turns with this Corviknight. I think at this point, like, it's pretty clear that he's playing from behind, just based on Pokemon left, but there's one thing is that I need to keep Aegislash alive because it just wins here, especially because this can't really beat Aegislash. This, I assume its last move was probably Psychic or Psyshock at this point, and as long as I can get rid of Corviknight, which I definitely can with Zeraora, I can win this fight. So, yeah. It's pretty nice. So he goes for a sub here, sort of a free sub. I just click Iron Head. I mean, there's really nothing to stop me aside from a Scald Burn, and I will say I get very lucky in this fight with the fact that I was not burned so early on. I sack Aegislash here, which might seem a little strange, but it allows me to get a free switch into Zeraora, and nothing on his team still wants to take Zeraora hits, especially from a Plasma Fists. So Corviknight goes down. And if I hadn't sacked Aegislash, I would have probably had the win right here. But instead I go into Sylveon, because I know that I can tank any hit, and I can just spam Mystical Fire, I can spam Wish, I can do whatever the hell I want, and basically I'm doing okay for myself. A Scald Burn on Zeraora here is rough for me, because now I get a little sloppy at the end of this fight. That's just how it is sometimes, but I go for Plasma Fists. That's not going to be able to do 2 HKOs on Clef. It will still knock out Prim, but it won't do anything to Clef. So I knock off here, getting rid of its leftovers just so that any additional healing it's not going to get. And he teleports into Prim, so I just click Plasma Fists here, because again, now Clef can't take another one. So literally now, I can just I will get one more kill with Zera Aura after the burn damage. So, yeah, we're just going to do it and knock out the Clefable there. And then Primarina is going to come in, but I go into Kyurem, which has Freeze Dry. I am faster than Primarina. I also have a Hydreigon with Flash Cannon. So, Primarina gets frozen, though, and that's kind of it. So, you know, it was already GG there, but the freeze just sort of was an extra slap in the face. So that was game 1. This is game 2. And, I mean, this is a... What the hell is this team? This is... I should have never, ever brought this team to an actual tournament match. But I did. So here we are. Sun with Venusaur and Dugtrio. It's like a freaking Gen 6 Sun team before Aegislash got banned. So he just brings like bog standard offense, and I bring this shit. So we're just gonna get right into it. He leads Hydreigon. I lead Hydreigon. I'm Scarf Hydreigon, I believe. And like the last game, I'm not gonna let him stay in with his Hydreigon. I'm gonna punish him if he stays in. So I click Draco Meteor, he switches out, it's fine. Clef goes for T-Wave. It misses my Torkoal, but I don't think it would have mattered much anyway. So I go for a Yawn here to force his switch on the Wish anyway, so it is what it is. And it allows me to get up rocks, which is fine. This is not a good team. Don't use this team. Don't steal this team. It's not going to do you any favors, partially because Dougie's also banned, but still. Basically, I don't have much to deal with this Conkeldurr here, and that's one of the lovely problems with this team, is that it dies to Conkeldurr. So I have to play really, really smart with Clef, which I don't. I do get the special attack drop on Corviknight, though, which is really sweet. Oh my god, I'm congested. And he goes for an Iron Head. That flinches my Clef, which sucks, because this is actually, it's got Flamethrower on it, so that would have done a good amount, but unfortunately not enough. So it is what it is, you know. You can't always have everything. I just switched back into Torkoal. I need to keep Torkoal alive, obviously, because Venusaur depends on Torkoal to sweep, and Venusaur can sweep once Rotom is gone. Rotom and Hydreigon are probably the two things that stop Venusaur from just demolishing that team. As it's going to go for an Overheat, and I see that coming, so I go into my Hydreigon. And at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to switch out here, and now I'm going to click Draco Meteor, punish the Rotom if he wants. I play a little aggressively since I have the upswing already. He goes into he goes for Thunder Wave here, which was the other move it had revealed, and I figured, you know, Dougie, I can at least wear down Clef. It's not going to do anything, but I get a Screech off, which is good, but he Wishes here, which is really interesting. So I just go for... I probably should have Screeched here again. I don't. I probably should have. So he Moonblasts me, and that doesn't actually bring me down to thing either. So had I Screeched there, I would have had a clean knockout there, but I don't, which a fool does. So unfortunately, I do end up losing my Dugtrio, but that's like fine because Dugtrio wasn't going to be doing a ton on this team anyway for this matchup. And now Torkoal lets me like basically threaten anything this thing wants to do. I try to go for a Lava Plume just to maybe knock it out, but that's not going to happen. So what can you do? At this point, he Wishes, and I do knock out the Clef, so at least now Hydreigon isn't as nearly concerned. And his Hydreigon comes in and he Draco Meteors, and I'm very confident that this thing is Scarf at this point, so I have a free way to heal with Clef here. But it's not. It's actually Flash Cannon. It's actually Life Orb, which, you know, is frustrating for me, but that means that I have a free switch with Scarf Hydreigon here, as he goes into his Corviknight, and like usual, I'm not going to click Draco Meteor. I click U-turn out into my Venusaur. I still have one turn of Sun left, so I can click Weather Ball if I want to. And he switches into Rotom. I actually Growth here, though, which was kind of a... I forgot just now that I have Heat Rock on Torkoal. So I Growth here, so I've, you know, still 2 turns of Sun left, which is really nice. And I just go for a Sludge Bomb. And at this point, I get the Poison. He's got to just sort of make switches and try not to die. So he switches back into Rotom Heat here. It's not Heavy Duty Boots, though, which was interesting. I do go for Giga Drain here, just to heal myself. And in comes Hydreigon, and Hydreigon will knock me out, so I do switch in my own Hydreigon to sack for a Draco Meteor if it does come out, but he actually goes for Dark Pulse. So that's pretty cool. So I go for my own Draco Meteor, and I'm like, Screw you, Hydreigon, you're gone. And his Conkeldurr comes in here, just based on the fact that his team looks like it's not a boosting Conkeldurr. I just stay in and sack mine. And at this point, it's the end game. Conkeldurr's the scariest thing on his team. So I need to have Sun Up, and I need to be able to win, because Venusaur can beat this, it can beat this. Venusaur, a Sludge Bomb, I believe, from Venusaur will knock this out as well, but I have to be able to switch into it. So what I'm going to do here, and this was actually something that took me about a couple minutes to figure out what I wanted to do for sure. What I'll do here is I'll go into Torkoal, and then I'll immediately switch into Aegislash on his either Earthquake or Drain Punch. If he goes for Drain Punch, then I have a free attack on this thing. If he goes for Earthquake, I sack and go immediately into Venusaur and click Sludge Bomb. So I go into Aegislash here. He goes for Earthquake. I actually live it, which I wasn't expecting to do. I counted it and it was different. So he goes into Corv, which sort of throws off my plan a little bit because I was fully expecting Aegislash to die. But I go for Shadow Sneak here, and at this point, Corv could probably roost, so I have to change my plan immediately and go right back into Venusaur on his U-turn. And now Conkeldurr is gonna come in again. He thinks that a Sludge Bomb won't kill, but he thought wrong. So I kind of just win, which is really cool here. Yeah, so he thought that he lived that. He doesn't. And then I just go for Weather Ball in the Corv. That goes out. And yeah, I show him the calc here, 60 to 71, and then I just click Giga Drain, and yeah, that's it. GG. I win my game in 2 with this garbage Sun team. I have no idea why the fuck I brought this team, but I do get the win. So GG's on that, and we move on to round 4. All right, now we're in round 4. This is a little tricky because my opponents from the previous round hadn't actually finished their match. It was P2 versus let's see if I have it pulled up here. P2, who is actually a phenomenal battler. I've stolen a couple of their teams, versus AB2, who is also a very notable battler. He's a former Team Raider. So this is probably one of those big name matchups, and I was sort of not necessarily an unknown. I have a badge now, guys. I'm like popular, I guess. But oh shoot, whoopsie daisy. I have a badge now in Smogon. I'm popular. Anyway, this is game 3. I didn't save the first 2 games again. And it was a split 1-1. I lost the first match, and I won the second one. So I have this Sand team here against this goddamn Semi-Stall. Holy crap, this game was annoying to play, but it was fun at the same time. This team is also really bad. I would not recommend stealing it from me, because there are some really questionable team choices here. I stole it from someone on the ladder. And I don't like a lot of the things that I did the more I played it. But I brought it to this one because I was comfortable with it. So, here we go. So, he leads Hydreigon, I lead Corviknight. I was sort of expecting to leave Corv just so I could U-turn here. I have my own Hydreigon, but I don't want to risk it early on, especially because it is Game 3 and I'm going to be playing very, like, consistent conservative. That's kind of Game 3, especially when I'm bringing whatever the hell this is. It's like, balance. But Tyranitar is not good, or it's not good because Dugtrio and Kyurem and Corviknight and Mamoswine and Toxapex and Clefable, and you get the idea. He leads with a U-turn from his Hydreigon and goes right into Toxapex. I go for a Brave Bird just to get immediate chip off, and so I'm gonna just sort of go for Broke here. I switch into Hydreigon here on whatever he wants to do. Is he clicks Knock, removing my Life Orb, which is fine. His team isn't necessarily fast, so even, like, I don't really mind. I wouldn't run Scarf on this guy, I don't think, just because I do have Sandrush Excadrill. And Life Orb losing Life Orb kind of sucks, but since I'm Nasty Plot, it's not a huge deal. As he brings in his Clef, I go for a Nasty Plot here. I probably should have just clicked Flash Cannon and gotten the 2 HKO, but I go for Flash Cannon there. And it's a low roll, I'm pretty sure. But I do lose my Hydreigon, like, turn 4, which is not a smart play at all. I really should have just clicked Flash Cannon here on his switch into Clef, because even if he wanted to go into Kyurem, which would be stupid, I would at least have some momentum or some chip. Hydreigon would have put in so much more work in this game. So that was a very poor play on my end. So I have to go into Excadrill and threaten the Iron Head. I instead go for Rapid Spin just to boost my speed, just to see, like, what he would do. As he goes into Corviknight here, I go into my pecs. I think Corviknight was just going to go for something, but he goes for Body Press, so it's an interesting thing. So he has a way to beat both of these guys as well. So Tar and Excadrill are both screwed by this Corviknight too, which is really bad for me, so even better. So I have to basically play really, really smart. I bring in Tyranitar here just because, like, on his double into pecs. This is Banded, I think. Or something. No, it's not. I go for Rocks here. And I go for Thunder Punch. This is Thunder Punch. I don't know why this is Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch doesn't do much to, like... It does enough on Toxapex to, like, 35% or 40%. It gets Chip, but it's not going to do more than, like, Fire Punch on Corviknight. It's kind of stupid. I don't know. Whatever. I set up Rocks. This is Body Press, too, so I don't even know why I'm staying in that much. I think I'm just like, hey, you want to do it to me? Come get it. But I do switch on his Body Press here. So I am reading the game pretty well. Like, I'm making the prediction, like, he's at this point, he'll probably Roost. And, okay, now he's at full, so he'll probably Body Press. So I'll go into my Clef, and I'll click Fire Blast, and it'll still do, like, nothing to Corviknight. Because this Corviknight is tanky as fuck. So, what can you do? So I go for a Wish here, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, I'll probably just pass into whatever wants to come in, so Excadrill can at least, like, do something. Come in free on the Corviknight. But, like, again, this is just really bad play. As he Body Presses onto my Toxapex, I'm really just trying to stall him out and see what he wants to do as he goes into his own Toxapex. I click Scald here, hoping for burns. I do get it, which is nice at least, so now he doesn't get the Black Sludge recovery. But he goes into Mamoswine here. This is a war of attrition, too, because I'm going to set up T-Spikes here, and this Mamoswine is the biggest threat to my team. Corviknight gets critted too, which is even more frickin' annoying, because now, like, I basically can't stay in, because if I Roost, he could predict that, go Earthquake. He could also predict that, and just that I would predict that, go Icicle Crash. It's a really, really bad time. So I have to basically go into my pecs, hoping that he'll just Icicle Crash, because it looks like he's not Life Orb, he's probably Banded, and based off the damage here, it would seem that he's Banded Mamoswine. So I can at least use that to my advantage, and just sort of go for broke and try to burn it. Because if I can burn that Mamoswine, I can win the game. He will not be able to break through my team if I burn the Mamoswine. So I'm just going to set up T-Spikes again, just so that whatever wants to come in next, aside from Corviknight, will take the... Nope, I lied. T-Spikes is going to come in, and his Hydreigon's going to U-turn, just go right back into the packs and absorb those. So I just keep clicking Scald. I'm just trying to do anything. Just sort of chip down, wear away. I want to get the T-Spikes up so that I can at least get some chip off on Mamoswine or Kyurem when it comes in. Now I go into Corviknight on his switch into Hydreigon. I was not expecting his switch into Hydreigon. Frankly, I was expecting a Scald here. At this point, I was just playing really for broke because I felt like I was at a losing position. He goes for Dark Pulse here, and he's going to try to get flinches. It's not going to work. I'm going to click Scald. I don't get a burn, unfortunately, though, so I have to switch him to Clef. But that's okay, because Clef can tank a Dark Pulse really nicely. And at this point, I just click Wish, because I get a free Wish into whatever Toxapex wants to do. It's either going to knock or Scald. So, like, I'll just switch into Corviknight, get the Wish, because Scald shouldn't knock me out. As he actually goes into Mamoswine, so great double on his part. And since he's banded... I know I can't really... I don't want to risk an Icicle Crash, so I will switch into Toxapex. Or actually, excuse me, I lied. I was thinking about a different game that I had played. He thinks that I would go into Toxapex, but instead I'm just going to click Body Press to see what he wants to do, since I should be able to live the Icicle Crash. I think I calced it. So I go for Body Press on the Kyurem just to get more chip. As he goes for Freeze Dry, again, maybe expecting me to go to Toxapex, but because Freeze Dry... This seems like Specs damage. Freeze Dry isn't going to do enough, so I can get a second Body Press off. And as he switches into Mamoswine, and I'm going to Roost here. So now I have a full Corviknight, which is huge against his team. Because I was fucked if Corviknight died. So I just keep clicking Body Press just to see what he wants to do. Because again, he doesn't want to stay in on a Body Press here. I go into Clef here on the Scald because I can get the burn from Clef here. Toxapex does threaten the knockoff, but, like, it's not the worst thing in the world. As he goes into his own Corviknight, which I thought was really interesting. I just go for a Wish here again, And at this point, I just click Fire Blast just to see what he wants to do. He may body press me. He actually gets burned, though, which is huge for me. So, like, free Wish, I guess, but then also his Corviknight gets burned, so that's a really good turn for me. I go for Wish again on his Roost, and then I can switch in again with whatever Pokemon I want, and I go into my Tar here just to, like, you know, get Sand up, as well as a Wish. So, he comes in with Mamoswine, and, well, I figure he could go for Earthquake, knock this out. He may predict me to go to, like, Corviknight, but this is banded, so Icicle Crash is going to do like 59%. I get flinched, which really sucks. Getting flinched is a stupid thing, and I hate it so much. I was going to go for like a Stone Edge here, and that probably would have knocked it out, or at least done enough, but unfortunately I can't, so I have to go into Toxapex here and just get the recovery. I have to click Recover, hope that he doesn't flinch me again. He doesn't, which is really good. So now I'm back at like 60. But yeah, this Mamoswine is the only way he's beating me, so I can click Scald here and, like, you know, because I know I'll live another Icicle Crash. If he flinches me or crits me, then that's how it is. That's gonna be the game, basically. But if I click Scald and get a burn, I win. So that's kind of, and I get the burn there, and sure enough, like, he can't break through, so he forfeits, knowing full well that now that Mamoswine's dead, smart play with Corviknight, Toxapex, and Clefable will win me the game, and then I can effectively also sweep with Excadrill. Should not, this is a terrible team. The only reason I won is because I was able to burn that Mamoswine. So I ended up using like a frickin' balance team in like Semi-Stall, which is fine, I guess. Semi-Stall's not cancerous or anything, it's fun. But yeah, that's round 4. So I managed to win my bigger matchup, and then I move on to round 5. Alright, so, recorded this part already, and then the frame rate was literal shit, like 2 frames every 2 minutes. So I'm redoing this one. So this is the one I had against AC Dance Macabre. This is round 5. They had some interesting techs, and they made 3 teams every week that they were in this. So they had like 15 teams by the time this was done, which is absolutely insane, and these teams had crazy tech. I mean, like, look, you got Necrozma, you got Cobalion, who even knows? And then you got Bog Standard. And I stole this team, so I can't really say, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, I stole it from Christo on the ladder. I mean, it's a good team. It was a good team. It looked good. You can't use it anymore because Dougie's not there, but, like, I did make a few changes to the team just because there were some choices for moves and some EV spreads I didn't quite like as much, but we'll just get right into this. So I'm going to lead Cinderace, he's going to lead Cobalion. From my days of Gen 7 UU, I know that this is usually a rocker, so I was just like, this is probably the most likely rocker on his team. But I just go for a taunt right out of the gate just to shut down that might happen, but I actually taunted his Tepex, so that's pretty nice. Still though, Cinderace fears Scald, so I switch out here using U-turn. Pretty straightforward, and I just go into my Dougie to try to trap this, but he goes for a Knock, which is interesting. It knocks off my Focus Sash, so I'm thinking, okay, whatever, I've kind of misplayed this. I'll just go for a Screech and do that, but it actually reveals that he's Shed Shell Toxapex, which is fascinating. So I get the -2 defense on Mandibuzz, but I'm not going to stay in with this thing. I'm going to go into my Clefable. As he goes back into his Cobalion, and I'm not going to stay in with that, no sir, I'm going to go into my Como, since this is a hard check. Swords Dance from Cobalion's not going to do shit, so I can just go for here and set up an Iron Defense, and I can go for Rocks here just, you know, because I get a free Stealth Rock, as he goes for Toxic. So this is fine. Cobalion's not going to be, or excuse me, Como's not going to be sweeping through this team like it can be sometimes, just because he does have, like, a Rotom, a Necrozma, and Clefable. Like, these two in particular are going to, like, just, like, completely shut down any chance that Como will have to sweep, which is fine. So I'm just going to go for Earthquake to get some chip on Toxapex, not like it's going to matter much, as he goes for Knock Off again. You know, I'm not really too concerned, but I go back into Dougie, just, like, I guess to sack it, maybe do some more stuff to try, you know, I just go for Screech, and I'm thinking, why would he go for Toxic here? Like, I was expecting him to go Scald just to knock this thing out, but I guess if he wants to Toxic expecting a switch, I don't know. But I was really afraid of Scald this whole time, because, like, this Zeraora here, that switch, I was really concerned, actually, for a second, that I would get a Scald burn. Luckily, I switch on that double into Mandibuzz as well, just because, like, he wouldn't want to stay in on a -2 Toxapex on an Earthquake from Dougie, so it makes sense he would go into Mandibuzz. So the Zeraora double made sense, but I was still worried just in case they did, in fact, go for a Scald for some reason. So, you know, I just go in there, and I click Bulk Up here, revealing that I'm Bulk Up. That was probably not a great play. I probably should have just gone for Plasma Fist, just to get off the damage, because, like, what was he going to go into? Clef? It would still have been good to get Chip. So I go into my own Clef, as he goes for a Wisp here, and it burns my Clefable, which is good. This is fine, because Clefable can absorb Will-O-Wisp really nicely, and, you know, it's just important for making sure that my team stays healthy later on. So, I send back in my Zeraora, which was a dumb play on my part, because, like, what's stopping him from, like, nasty plotting, and then just going back in? Clefable doesn't threaten this thing, so I was like, it was meant to be a flex on his, like, Volt Switch, and I was like, haha, I got you, but it didn't really work out, and it was just dumb. So, yeah. I go back into Clef on his Overheat, and that's not good, so I have to basically figure out a way to deal with a nasty plot on this, as I soft-boiled here, expecting maybe a Volt Switch or a hard switch into something else, but he just goes right back for the nasty plot again. So I'm thinking, oh shit, okay, I gotta deal with this somehow. So I send in my Coma-O, because at least I resist Overheat and I resist Volt Switch, and I can just click Body Press or something. He Volt Switches here. I would thought he would have overheated, but I guess not, as he just goes back into the air and I click Body Press just to do damage, you know? So I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna Scald here and I'll sack my Dougie, but he recovers, which is interesting. I guess he was maybe thinking I'd go for an Earthquake, which is fine. I can just go for Screech here again, just to get things off on Pex here. And it was this point where I'm like, why did he not Scald here? Why did he not switch? Why did he not Scald? Why did he go for Knockoff again? So that makes me think, maybe he doesn't have Scald on this thing. But, like, what else would he be running? So I'm playing now with the idea that maybe he doesn't actually have Scald. So I go for an Earthquake here, which is, like, I guess it's kind of expected that, like, he would switch on an Earthquake. I should have Screeched here if I really wanted to make the best of it, because I did kind of see it coming. But I went for Earthquake there just to be, like, a little consistent, conservative, what have you. But whatever, free switch into Zeraora. So I go into here, and I click Knockoff here, which was the better play to do, because now Rotom's heavy-duty boots are knocked off, so he can't switch in, and I can go into Cinderace on his Will-O-Wisp, and it'll be good there. He can Overheat if he wants, but even then, that's not a good call. So I go for a Taunt here just to, you know, prevent utility, and now I click U-turn again. Again, I'm thinking he probably doesn't have Scald in this case, but I don't want to find out. So I'll just go back into Coma-O, as sure enough, he does go for a Knockoff, which is, again, really strange to me, because if he had Scald, he probably would have used it there. So I am now operating under the assumption that he does not have Scald. So I'm going to go into Zeraora here, feeling a lot better about that switch, and now all I can do is click Bulk Up again, because now I know that nothing is going to want to come in on this Bulk Up, right? So I go for a Plasma Fists, and that's going to knock out the Mandibuzz, which is fine by me. The problem is now he sends in Necrozma, and I can go for a Knockoff, which is going to do a lot of damage, a Metronome, knocking out the Metronome, but Photon Geyser is going to knock me out. Plasma Fist would have knocked this out, so I didn't make a misplay here, but I go into Cinderace, and I outspeed it, so, like, I can just click U-turn and get some chip off of whatever's going to come in. So Rotom comes in, I send in Coma-O to sack it, mainly, and to get up Rocks again. As he goes for Overheat, just in case he didn't do that, I would have gotten Rocks up. And now I send in Clefable. So I'm on my heels right now, which is, like, not great. I basically have to win with one of these three things. Luckily for me, this is CM Soft-Boiled, Moonblast, Fire Blast, Clef. So I can beat Cobalion, just as long as I CM here. He goes into his Clefable here, and I start Calm Minding. I basically have to start Calm Minding, like, right now if I want to have any chance at winning. So I get to +2 on his Teleport, and he goes into his Cobalion. Now, what I should have done is just have clicked Fire Blast or Flamethrower. What I do is I go for a Flamethrower here, or a Soft-Boiled here, which is like, I am playing with fire right now, because if any of these flinch me, I lose. But I get my head on my shoulders very quickly, and I'm just like, okay, here we go. So now, here's where things get interesting. He sends in his Pex, which is like a weird choice to do. I don't get why he chose to do that right now. So I recover, and I have a free Soft-Boiled. as he goes for Gastro Acid, his last move, which is not Scald, but Gastro Acid. So my Magic Guard is gone, and now I'm taking burn damage, which is, hot. But, you know, that's why he had Toxic. He was hoping that, like, maybe he would Toxic this Clefable and then force me out from my boosts. But, because I let this get burned earlier on, he can't do that. So, haha. Turns out, getting burned with Clefable is the right way to go. So I'm just gonna start setting up these Calm Minds. Like, there is nothing stopping me from getting very far along with these Calm Minds, as you can see. The only thing that's stopping me is this Toxapex. So I'm just gonna, like, click Moonblasts on this Clefable in attempts to maybe, like, you know, lower its special, like, just bring it down. So I'm just gonna click Moonblast again, as he wishes. On this wish, I'm expecting either Protect or a Switch, so I just go for a Calm Mind here. Or a Soft Boiled, excuse me, just to recover. Sure enough, Rotom comes in, and at this point, I'm at +4. He's at +0. He's gonna start nasty plotting up to try to put any chip on me. But I'm gonna start Calm Minding, because, like, what else am I supposed to do, right? If I get to +6, his Overheat's gonna do probably at most 50%. So as long as I just play smart and conservative with, like, how I'm healing, I can beat this, because this is doing 71. So yeah, Overheat's gonna do 46. I think the roll was 46 to 52. So, like, I literally can just just wait out his Overheats. So he realizes this and goes into Pex. And at this point, it's like, okay, I only have 10 recovers left. So I have to start fishing for burns, or I have to, like, just stall out this thing. So I'm gonna PP stall for a bit. And I'm just gonna click Flamethrower. There are two reasons for this. One is to get the burn, if possible. The other is to lure him into a false sense of security, in order to get the clean knockout when it comes along. It was at this turn, actually, that I calced +6 Clef on a, like, max def Toxapex. And Moonblast will knock this out at 45. So if I can get it down to 45 and leave him open, if he doesn't heal, I get the clean knockout and I basically win the game. So I just have to get him to that point, and then just win from there. Which is what I'm going to play off. So I'm going to click Flamethrowers, not revealing how much damage Moonblast does, just in the event that, like, for some reason he's not calcing it. I don't know. So we're just going to click Flamethrower for continuous periods of time as he tries to Gastro Acid in order to minimize the amounts of recovers he uses. So as you can see, it's just a matter of playing the waiting game at this point. I am trying to get him down. He is trying to wait out my Scalds, I guess, or my Moonblasts. But here it is, right? 41%. I've not used Moonblast against this yet, but now it's dead. So he did not see that coming at all, which makes me think that he was not using a calculator in the first place. Photon Geyser is going to come out. If that had crit, that would have probably killed me. But I'm just going to Soft Boiled here, just to be safe. And yeah, basically now all I do is click Moonblast, more or less, and that's going to lock me up the game here. Just because, you know, Clefable can protect all at once, but, like, a double protect is not going to happen, and if it does happen, a triple protect is not going to happen, and Moonblast will effectively knock this out. Rotom Heat can go for Overheat all at once. It's not going to do anything wrong. If it did crit, that might have been problematic, but whatever. I do end up getting the Game 1 win, which is great. And now we move on to Game 2. And Game 2. So first things first, this team that I have here, this Rain team is... I brought it to every Game 2 of my OST tournament after home released. And it is consistent, it is useful, it is a great momentum grabber. So, you know, I guess if you played me in this and play me in future tournaments, you'll know that if it's best of 3, I'm going to bring some stupid hyper offense Rain thing, since teams have to be basically super prepared for Rain or they're going to lose. So, the one thing about this team that makes it different that you might have seen on the ladder, which, side note, I did steal this from someone off the ladder. You know, it is what it is. If it's a good team on a ladder, you're going to take it. But the thing about this one is that there is one significant difference that you might see compared to other things, and that will actually play a part later on in some matches. So, spoiler alert, I do win. But I think that's kind of a given since I lasted more rounds than round 5. Anyway, he leads Mew, I lead Pelipper just to get the Rain up and specs. I can just sort of punch holes in teams. This Mew is interesting, because it goes for Imprison turn 1, and I'm thinking, okay, what moves could this Mew have that I could possibly have? Surely not Hydro Pump, Weather Ball, Hurricane, or U-Turn. Well, after it heals from Lumberry, it transforms, so I can't do anything with this Teleport, and I'm forced to switch into my Ferrothorn. I'm forced to switch into my Ferrothorn. So Ferrothorn can beat this thing. It's just like, what the hell? What was that? That was a weird tech. So it just keeps spamming Hurricane, but like, I can win just so long as I use Leech Seed and just like wait for turns to go my way. So like, I'm just gonna wear down this Mew. Ferrothorn isn't super crucial in this fight, so it's... A lot of times when I use Ferrothorn on this team, it's literally to set up hazards and seeds, and I switch here just to make sure that, like, I don't end up losing Ferrothorn right here, and that Mew will go down. So now Aegis Slash comes in. I think that since Aegis Slash was banded, so I make the switch into Ferrothorn just to get the chip damage. Turns out it's Swords Dance, so I'm like, uh-oh, that's kind of a problem. But... Again, depending on what he wants to do, he's still going to take chip damage from my Iron Barbs, just so, you know, it is what it is. So I send in, of course, Mr. Fish for the revenge kill. He Shadow Sneaks me, but I know that Vicious Rend will knock this out, so, like, I have no problems just switching this in and going from there. So, to counter this, or to revenge kill this, rather, Hydreigon's going to come in. Pretty sure it's Scarf, just based on his team. There's no really other Scarfer. So I'm figuring, okay, if he goes for Draco, I'll just go into Clef. It's a pretty safe switch. He goes for U-turn, though, and sends in his Corviknight. So I'm thinking at this point, okay, I could probably just start CMing and maybe just try to go for broke, because I would think that his team, given that this is SD Aegislash, this would be like Brave Bird Corviknight. Turns out, though, much to my chagrin, it's Ironhead. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, I can still CM, I should be able to live a second Ironhead, because this was a very high roll, and I'll just soft-boiled here. But no, unfortunately for me, it flinches my Clef, and I have to sack my Clefable, which is frustrating. So at this point, I'm going to send in Zeraora. Nothing on his team was going to be that good. I thought he would maybe U-turn there. He thought I'd hard Vish. I don't really want to do that, because at this point, Dracovish can still put in a lot of work versus Clefable, and still put some holes in some teams, and I can use it as sack fodder later on. So I didn't want to do that. I was okay with losing Clef because I know that Excadrill, if I can set up with that, it will win. And given that this is Ironhead, it probably doesn't have Body Press either. Oh no, I hope my frames aren't dropping. That would be bad. So we're just going to go from there. Yeah, so back into Como he goes, and I just click Knock Off here. It knocks off the Rosalie Berry, though, which is kind of funny. I was not expecting that. So I go back into my Pelipper to get up Rain, maybe click Hurricane or something, which I do here, but he goes back into Corviknight, which is fine for me. It's not going to do a ton, but like I'm not too concerned, and it gets confused. This is my opening to like go into Exca and start setting up, because Exca I can clear the rocks with Rapid Spin, and I can start setting up with Swords Dance, because even a +2, Ironhead is going to do quite a bit to his team. So I set up Rapid Spin, I get to +2 speed, or +1 speed, and he's just going to start spamming Ironhead. I don't get why he's doing this, because, frankly, it's a bad idea, I think, because Corviknight with Ironhead can't really do much to Excadrill here. So I'm just going to, you know, start Swords Dancing up on Protects and other things. I think he's maybe trying to wear down my Ironheads, but even then, it's like, I'm at +4, I'm at +6 now. And, like, Ironhead from Excadrill is just going to run through teams, no matter what. As he protects here, I go for another Ironhead, basically, just to, you know, get chip if I can. And he switches into Clef. I don't get why, but I go for Rapid Spin. So now, with that Rapid Spin, I outspeed his entire team, and I'm at +6. So, I'm in a really good spot. Rapid Spin did 50%. Do you see that? Rapid Spin did 50%. You can't see it, it's off screen. 50%. Holy shit. So I go for an Ironhead here. Crit did not matter at all. And at this point, like, Corviknight comes in, and, like, it'll try to play Protect games, but that still did 67% to this Corviknight. What the hell? He'll Protect here, obviously. Like, you know, to wear down my number of Ironheads, but I still have, like, 19 left. And now I have 17 left. Like, there's no way he can outstall me, especially because he's going to go into his combo. Ironhead's just going to kill it. It's like, oh my god, what the heck? So, in comes Corviknight again, and it's going to Protect again. I expect this time, and I go for Rapid Spin, just so that, like, you know, I'm not burning PP. And I'm going to click Iron Head here, and that's going to knock out this Corviknight. And I'm definitely faster than a Scarf Hydreigon, so I can effectively win the game. So, there it is. Rain wins again. Rain saves the day. He had some sick teams. He actually, Game 3, had it gone to a Game 3, he had a team that he was going to bring with Goodra, which is absolutely wild. So, anyway, good games, and now I'm on to round 6. Alright, so now we're in round 6 versus my opponent, Omo, I think is his name. So I actually did, this was the first week I actually did a lot of prep for my opponent now that I was in the round of 128. And so I looked up their name, found some of their replays. Every single one of their matches they used Cloyster Grimmsnarl, and it was some variation of like Cloyster Grimmsnarl Hyper Offense. So I was like, okay, I kind of know what I'm getting myself into here. And I was thinking, you know, maybe they'd switch. The problem is I'm really bad at counter-teaming or, like, building to prepare against other people. I really like to build teams that I just like to use, you know? Or either I'm building or I'm finding teams that I really like and then making some adjustments based on that. So I'm not necessarily good for playing against a matchup, which is unfortunate for me. So I brought this, like, standard-ass Kyurem semi-stall kind of thing to a hyper-offense match. So we'll see how this goes. So right out of the gate, though, he leads Grimmsnarl, which, like, I lead Clef. I kind of see that coming, so he's going to go for Light Screen. I'm just going to see him right in his face. And so I kind of think, okay, next turn's probably going to be a taunt, so I can just click Moonblast. But he actually goes in Jirachi here. I have no idea what the hell this Jirachi set's going to be, but it's Hyper Offense Screen, so, like, it's probably something offensive. But, like, you know, he's going to go for Flamethrower. He may be expecting me to switch on the Iron Head. I was just playing on Galaxy Brain level plays right now. So I just go for a Moonblast. As he goes for a Spirit Break, lowering my special attack, as I Calm Mind again in his face. It's this point where he's just going to spam Spirit Break, because, like, you know, he can. And I'm just going to click Moonblast, trying to wait for the screens to go away. Obviously, he's Light Clay, and now he taunts, which is very smart, because I was going to soft wild there. So he catches me off guard, and it's kind of here where I start to really misplay Clefable. I probably should have gone into Pex here and just did something, or something else, or even Corviknight. But I stay in with Clefable, and let him get up his screens, and now I go into Pex on his Reflect. So, like, you know, what am I supposed to do? As he taunts here, I do go for the Scald just to try to get the burn. The light screen's gone at least, but now he sets it up again. I'm just trying to Scald and wear down this Grimmsnarl at all costs. He goes into Clefable here on this new Scald, since, you know, Clefable's a great burn absorber, maybe you saw in the last fight. So I switch in my Corviknight here, but it's fairly obvious that this is a CM Clef. Behind screens, this is going to be a pain in the ass to deal with, and it's, you know, probably Life Orb, so I go for a Defog here. I'm in a really bad matchup, because Semi-Stall is just terrible against Hyper Offense, and I should have known better, but what can you do? So he also has Thunderbolt, so that catches my Toxapex off guard as well, so that's, like, even better. So I'm kind of forced to sax my Toxapex. So I'm thinking here, okay, what the hell do I do? So I send him my Dougie and just go for a Screech here on, like, whatever he wants. But he's got Draining Kiss too, which is, like, also really cool. But luckily for me, because it's an offense Clefable, Earthquake at -2 will knock it out, so that's at least a relief for me. As he goes into Zeraora here, I know that Zeraora could probably knock off, could do whatever, so I just go for a Sucker Punch. And he actually is Power Up Punch, though, which, again, super cool, really cool tech. It's interesting. I think I prefer Bulk Up, but that's just me. But, hey, I'm not complaining. So I send him my Conkeldurr, because I don't think he would be Play Rough, right? I feel like this would just be, instead of Bulk Up, it's probably like Power Up Punch, CC, knock off Plasma Fists. Turns out, he does have Play Rough, which is really bad for me. And I go for a Drain Punch. I probably should have gone for an Earthquake, but what can you do? Now that my burn's in play, I just go for a Mach Punch. It will knock out the Zeraora, so at least there's that. But here's the thing. Cloyster is going to be a bitch to deal with. Like, I really needed to keep this Conkeldurr healthy, and Jirachi's going to come in now, and I switch back into Corv just to see what it's going to do. Of course, this Jirachi is going to just click Iron Head a bunch, and that's not really that fun for me to face off against. It also has Fire Punch, and Serene Grace Burn is going to suck too, so I can't really do much I can't do much to this Jirachi, unfortunately. Especially just based on the fact that it's now also Power Punch. Power Punch, Iron Head, Fire Punch, and probably U-Turn. And at this point, he is saying GG. And I'm thinking, okay, is it actually GG? It probably is, but, like, is it actually? So I play it out just to verify, but, like, Iron Head's gonna knock out this with a crit. I'm pretty sure it did anyway, but this is max attack, max speed Jirachi. Conk is gonna die. So I kind of get screwed over just by letting things not be healthy enough. So very not good match for me game 1, which, you know, I'm used to. I'm okay with taking that first game to be not the greatest, if only so that I can sort of scout out what plays they would make. And especially because game 2, I'm using my tried and true Rain team, you know, this one. And, wouldn't you know, Cloyster Grimmsnarl. Funny how that works. But here's the thing, right? I'm okay with losing game 1 if I feel so confident in my team game 2 that I'll be able to win no matter what. And that is literally how I felt about this team. I felt that I could easily go into this match and just do what I had to do. Play smart. If I can play smart with this team, I will win every time. So I'm like, okay, taking the L game 1, I know what plays this guy likes to make. He's hyper offense. So, game 2, let's go. So immediately he leads off Cloyster, and I lead off Pelipper. He leads Cloyster because, I mean, let's be real, Cloyster does a ton of work on this team, right? Like, aside from Ferrothorn, Cloyster can pretty much knock out everything. So here's where the one change I made to this team, or this team is different from a lot of teams that you might see that's this, comes into play. Pelipper is max speed. So max speed Weather Ball, I have tested it, I have seen it, I have done it many times. Max speed Weather Ball with specs knocks out Cloyster every time. So I just got that crap out of the way, was not going to deal with it. So Zeraora comes in, I'm expecting a Plasma Fists, I go into my own Zeraora, as sure enough there it comes, and I can just bulk up here, right? I can bulk up here if I want. He's going to go for a Power Up Punch to try to boost his attack, but I'm going to knock actually, sorry, I lied, I thought I bulked up, I actually went for knockoff. I'm going to knock off his lefties, and I am Life Orb, so, like, yeah, anything this wants to do to me is probably going to be rough, but I send my Ferrothorn. Close combat is, like, going to get Chip, he's going to lower the defense. If he wants to try to hit me again, he's going to take more damage. I'm going to just set up rocks. Again, I'm totally okay with sacking Ferrothorn here because passiveness is not going to be my strong suit in this game. So instead, I'm just going to let him take even more Chip, have lower defenses, force a switch when I bring in my own Clefable. As he goes for a Plasma Fist here, it crits me, which is really annoying, but I Moonblast and knock it out, which is good. He's going to send in his Excadrill now, threaten me with, like, Iron Head or a Rapid Spin. I'm pretty sure he Rapid Spins here, actually. Yeah, to try to get that speed boost, but I stay in and just click Flamethrower, so I call him on that. So now he's at this speed. He's at a +1 speed, which is, like, it's risky because this is obviously going to do a lot, but I believe Pelipper should be able to live a hit. So I'm okay with sacking this Clefable as he stays in again and goes for rocks. Again, he was probably expecting me to go Pelipper here, but I was just like, fuck it, I'll sack this Clef, I don't care. So now he sends in Chandelure and this hard walls Clef. So I'm like, fine, sack it, I don't care. And I send my Dracovish, right? Because it's possible this is Specs, it's possible it's Scarf. If it's Scarf, whatever. You know what? Vicious Wren's still going to do a lot of damage. If it's Specs, I outspeed. So, whatever. Turns out it's Scarf, so that's fine. My Spadef does get dropped, but I go for Vicious Wren and that's going to die. At this point, he has to go for... he goes into Grimmsnarl, which I think is an interesting play. I probably would have gone Dragapult here and would have just tried to, like, knock this out immediately, because I would not want Grimmsnarl to get any more chip than it already has, but that's just me. So he's going to go for Reflect. I'm just going to keep clicking Vicious Wren, though, because, like, literally, as long as I just keep doing damage to this Grimmsnarl, I can win with Zeraora, because Zeraora knockoff is going to do a ton to this Dragapult, as he sends in Light Screen. And now, okay, here's what I did. I sent in Excadrill to Rapid Spin here, but I was like, oh shit, if he goes into Dragapult, I'm screwed. So I switched back into Dracovish, thinking he would go into Dragapult to sack, but it turns out he stays in, and goes for Spirit Break, and I'm like, uh-oh, okay, I may have fucked up here. So I go back into Excadrill, and now I click, I'm like, if I want to beat this Dragapult, I have to Rapid Spin. But does he think I'm going to go for Iron Head or Rapid Spin? I don't know. So I go for Rapid Spin here, if he had gone into Dragapult, I honestly think he could have won. But he stays in and goes for Spirit Break, so now I'm at +1 speed, so now I outspeed this thing too. And now he realizes, oh shoot. So I go for a second Rapid Spin here, just in case. And at this point I'm thinking, oh shit, I probably should have gone for Iron Head. But you know what, it is what it is. He goes for a Wisp and it misses. I'm very lucky about that. But I go for an SD here now on his Wisp again, since it's Hex, whatnot. But now Reflect is gone, so now I'm doing a ton of damage still, and I get the flinch, which is really lucky for me. Excuse me. I think had he not been flinched, I still would have knocked him out here. But it is what it is. So Iron Head's going to come in, he can Reflect all he wants, but that's going to be game. Very, very consistently, we both acknowledge that. Reflect, but Iron Head will knock it out. So, Excadrill again, wins again. Rain Team wins again. So, hey, look at that. Game 2 is another win for the Rain Team, and now we're moving into Game 3. I have momentum, and I'm thinking, okay, he's brought Cloyster Grimmsnarl to 2 matches. Surely he would not bring it to a 3rd. Oh, how wrong I was. So I bring the Christo Balance Team again, and again, as most veterans will tell you, when it comes to matchup and playstyles, only really Hyper Offense is only really beaten by Stall and Hyper Offense. So, you know, I know the team very well. I've seen his team, and I can prep accordingly. However, I'm just at an inherent disadvantage just from the fact of my team build. So, yeah. So, here it is. I lead Cinderace, and I could taunt this thing. Maybe he'll just go for a Light Screen to start. He taunts me first, though, so I can't taunt him. Now he's going to click Reflect. I go for a Pyro Ball here, just to get as much chip as I can. And then I go for a U-turn on his Light Screen. There's a point in this game where I've actually asked a friend about it too. Shout out to my pal Onion. And I asked them when they thought that I lost this match, because I told you at the start of the video, I got 6 rounds. This is my last fight. You can watch the video length, you can see we're getting to the end. But I do lose this fight. And you'll see where I lose it almost right here, in fact. Because I go into Corviknight, and I click, or not this one, sorry. Next time I bring Corviknight. I go for a U-turn here. Oh, shit. That's fine. We'll just get back to where we were. We're only 4 turns in. Cinderace is going to come in, and it's going to get taunted again. But at this point, I just click Pyro Ball, and then I'm going to click U-turn here to knock out this Grimmsnarl. Now, you tell me, because I bring in Dougie here on his Cloyster. This is one of those spots where it's like, I think I was thinking that I would be able to, like, he would go for, this is a dumb play, because I bring in Corviknight here on a Shell Smash. Like, I should have punished him for this. I should have gone for Screech or something, you know? Instead, I hard switch into Corviknight, which is a really, really bad call, because Corviknight is one of the ways I can beat this thing. Clef is the other. So, unfortunately for me, I make the really stupid play of, wait for it, after this Icicle Spear, I will live it. But here's the thing, right? I go for Defog. That's a bad play. That's just a bad play. Because I should have just used that opportunity to get damage off on Cloyster. I didn't, but at least the screens are gone, so at least there's that. And I was thinking, okay, fine. Screens are gone, and this is all posting. In the moment, I was thinking, that's a good play. This is a good play. In hindsight, it is not a good play. So he will knock out my Corviknight, which is not good, because Corviknight is one of the ways I beat this. So now I send in Clef, because Clef is the other way I can beat this. And I know that Clef will live an Icicle Spear and a Rock Blast. And basically, if I click Moonblast, and this will die. I know it for a fact. I know it 100%. That will happen. So he clicks Icicle Spear. And he gets a crit on one of them, but I should still be okay. I'm at 3%, right? I get flinched. I get fucking flinched. Which is absolute horseshit. King's Rock, Cloyster, it's part of the game. It's part of his team. It happens, right? I've won games from flinches before. This fucking sucked right here, because I guarantee it's still early on in the match. I still have ways to beat every single one of his other things. Cinderace can beat Jirachi. It can beat, I know it for a fact I can use Como to beat his Cinderace, his Zeraora. I know I can beat Clef with his Clef, with my Clef, right? Or, excuse me. I know that if I set up as well, Clef can be beaten, especially because it's offensive Clef. So I can beat that with Dugtrio, I can beat it with Zeraora. But because I get flinched, that's it. I mean, I can't do anything. The only thing I can hope for is that the Rock Blast misses, but obviously it doesn't. So, yeah, that's a really, really shitty way to end my OST run because of a flinch from King's Rock. I can understand people calling for like the King's Rock ban. I'm not gonna go to that extreme. I don't think it's RNG, sure, and it absolutely cost me this match, like through nothing I could have done. But that is also the game of Pokemon, and yeah, I'm still frustrated by it because I feel very confident I could have won this match had that flinch not happened. But unfortunately for me, that's just how Pokemon works sometimes. And, you know, I can bitch and moan and whine all I want, but in the end, like, I brought a bad matchup team. Had I brought that Rain team again, probably could have also won, but that is what it is, and this is the furthest I've actually ever gotten in OST, and, like, frankly, I'm very proud of myself that I even got this far in the first place, and, it is nice to know that I have the capabilities, and that I really have improved a lot since last year, because last year I made it to, like, round 2, and then just tanked it, so I'm just very proud of myself that I even made it this far, because, you know, 6 rounds into OST is really good. I lost the same round Blunder did, albeit maybe not to as maybe, well, that's not true. Anyone who can make it that far in OST is a skilled player, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So, you know, I'm proud of myself, I did it, and, you know, there are other tournaments I can be a part of, just to, you know, show that I am a competent battler. And I've improved a ton in the past year just from, like, playing team tournaments, Cap and NFE, and just being more involved in Mons. So I'm really glad to say that I feel like this is a reflection of my capabilities now as I've grown as a battler. So, yeah, with all that sappy shit out of the way, thank you all for watching. This is a very long video, so I appreciate you sticking around and watching the video and hopefully enjoying my commentary on all of these. Yeah, stay tuned for more stuff like this. Stay tuned for more streaming now that I'm in quarantine. As soon as school's over, who the fuck knows, man? Who the fuck knows? But anyway, thank you all for watching, and I hope you'll stick around for more. Until then.